1. Introduction. My name is Ava. My life was quiet and simple before I met Tony. I enjoyed my job at a small bookshop, and I loved spending time with my friends. We often went out for coffee or watched movies together. I was happy with my life, but I always hoped to find a special person to share it with. One afternoon, I went to a small cafe to read a book. A man was sitting near me. He was very handsome. He had dark hair and a wonderful smile. He looked at me and said hello. His name was Tony. We started to talk, and it was very easy. We talked about books, music, and our dreams. We talked for 3 hours, but it felt like only a few minutes. I felt a strong connection to him from that first day. After we met, we spent every day together for the next 3 weeks. It was a very fast and intense time. Tony was romantic. He brought me flowers and wrote me sweet notes. We had picnics in the park and walked by the river in the evenings. He told me I was beautiful and smart. He made me feel like the most important person in the world. I fell in love with him very quickly. I was sure he was different from other men. Then, one evening, something incredible happened. It was only 3 weeks after our first meeting. Tony took me to a very nice restaurant for dinner. He looked at me with so much love in his eyes. After our meal, he took my hand. He told me that these 3 weeks were the best weeks of his life. Then, he got down on one knee and opened a small, black box. Inside was a beautiful diamond ring. He asked, "Ava, will you marry me?" I was so happy, but when I told my friends, they were worried. My best friend, Sarah, said, "Ava, this is happening too fast. You only know him for 3 weeks. You should wait." My other friends said the same thing. They told me to be careful. They thought I did not really know the real Tony. But I did not want to listen to them. I believed in our love. I felt that Tony was my soulmate. I thought that when you find true love, time does not matter. I was sure he was the right man for me. I trusted him completely. I told my friends they were wrong, so I said yes to his proposal. I believed that I was starting a new, wonderful life. I thought I had found my forever happiness. 2. The wedding dream. The day of our wedding was absolutely perfect. The sun was warm on my skin, and the sky was a beautiful, clear blue without a single cloud. We decided not to have a big, expensive party. Instead, we had a small, intimate ceremony with only our closest family and a few good friends. I chose a simple but elegant white dress that flowed when I walked. When I walked down the garden path, I only looked at Tony. He had the biggest, most wonderful smile on his face. He looked so handsome in his dark suit. My heart was beating so fast, like a little bird in my chest. I felt this was the real start of my new life, my forever life with the man I loved more than anything. During the ceremony, we stood under a large, old tree in the beautiful garden. The air was sweet and smelled like roses and fresh grass. Tony took both of my hands in his. His hands felt warm and strong, and I felt so safe and protected. He looked directly into my eyes, and it felt like we were the only two people in the entire world. He said his promises in a voice that was soft but serious and full of emotion. "Ava," he said, "I promise to love you every single day. I promise to be with you in good times and in bad times. You are my everything, and I will love you forever." Tears of pure happiness ran down my face as I listened. I believed every single word. I knew, deep in my heart, that he was my soulmate. I told my mother later that I was the happiest woman alive. After our perfect wedding day, I moved into Tony's house. It was a lovely house with 2 floors and a big garden at the back with green grass and some flowers. I was so excited to make it our home together. I spent the first few days unpacking my boxes and putting my clothes in the closet next to his. I placed our favorite wedding picture in a silver frame on the small table next to our bed. Every night, I looked at it before I slept. I imagined our wonderful future in that house. I dreamed we would cook dinner together and have breakfast in the garden on Sundays. I thought our life would be a beautiful, perfect dream, full of love, respect, and laughter. Everything felt like a happy story from a romance book. For the first few weeks, our life was exactly like that. We were so happy together and always laughing. But then, something small started to change. It was very subtle and hard to notice at first. Sometimes, Tony became very quiet in the evenings. He sat on the sofa next to me, but his mind seemed far away. His smile did not always reach his eyes like it did on our wedding day. I tried not to worry. I told myself that he was just tired from his demanding job. I did not want to believe that anything was wrong. I wanted my perfect wedding dream to continue forever. I did not know it was only the quiet beginning of the end of my beautiful dream. 3 late nights. Our new life together was good for the first few weeks. Then something started to change. Tony began to come home late from work. At first, it was just 1 night a week. Then it was 2 nights, and then it became more frequent. He always had a reason for being late. He said, "I have a lot of work, Ava. It's a very important project." He looked tired when he said it, so I believed him. I wanted to be a supportive wife. I told him, "It's okay, I understand, don't worry." I trusted his words because I loved him so much. I thought he was working hard for our future together. Every evening, I made dinner for us. I cooked his favorite meals and set the table for 2 people. I wanted everything to be perfect for when he came home from a long day. But he often came home very late. I would sit on the sofa in the quiet living room and wait for the sound of his car. I watched the clock on the wall. 7 o'clock passed, then 8 o'clock, and then 9. The food on the table became cold. The house was so silent. I started to feel very lonely in our big house. Sometimes the nights were even harder. On these nights, Tony did not call and he did not send a text message. I had no idea where he was. I would look at my phone every 5 minutes hoping for a message, but there was always nothing. I worried about him. Was he safe? Was he okay? The silence was difficult and it made me feel sad. I felt alone most evenings, but I told myself that I needed to be patient. Love needs patience, I thought. I remembered his beautiful words at our wedding. He promised to love me forever. I held onto that promise with all my heart. I believed he was just very busy with his job. I trusted him completely. I thought that if I was a good and patient wife, everything would be okay again soon. I just had to wait. Our perfect life would return. 4 other girls. The clock on the wall showed it was 11 o'clock at night. Tony was still not home from work. The dinner I cooked for him was cold on the table. The house was always so quiet when he was not there. I felt a familiar loneliness in my heart. I called his phone 2 times, but he did not answer. I started to feel worried. Was he okay? Was he still at the office? I could not just sit and wait anymore. I needed to know where he was. I remembered a small, cozy bar near his office. He sometimes went there with his work colleagues for a drink. I thought maybe he was there. I put on my coat, took my keys, and walked out into the cool night air. The bar was noisy with music and people talking. I felt a little strange being there alone. I looked through the crowd, searching for his familiar face. And then I saw him. He was in a dark corner, sitting at a round table. But he was not with his male colleagues. He was with 2 women. They were young and they were laughing at something he said. One woman had long, dark hair. She touched his arm when she laughed. Tony was smiling a big, relaxed smile. He looked completely happy. My heart started to beat very fast and it hurt. It felt like a stone dropped inside my stomach. This was not a work meeting. I took a deep breath and walked towards his table. My legs felt weak. "Tony," I said. My voice was small and it trembled. He turned around and his smile vanished when he saw me. He looked shocked and then a little annoyed. "Ava, what are you doing here?" he asked. His tone was sharp. The 2 women stopped talking and stared at me. "I was worried," I said. "Who are they?" I looked at the women. Tony sighed. "They are just friends, Ava, friends from the office. Don't be ridiculous." He said it loudly so they could hear. "You should go home. I will be back later." He did not introduce me. He turned back to the women, dismissing me completely. I walked out of the bar without saying another word. Tears were in my eyes. On the street, the world felt blurry. Were they really just friends? Why did he touch her arm like that? Why did he look at me with angry eyes? I wanted to believe him more than anything. When I got home, my friend Sarah called. She could tell from my voice that I was crying. I told her everything. "Oh, Ava," she said sadly, "please be careful. That does not sound good. But I could not accept her words. No, Sarah, I insisted. He loves me, he promised. They are just his friends. After the call, I told myself that I needed to be a better wife. If our home was a happier place, he would not need to stay out late with other people. I decided I would try harder. My love could fix this. I was sure of it. 5. His rules. After the night at the bar, I hoped things would get better. I tried hard to be the perfect wife. But Tony did not change for the better. He became different again, and I was more scared than before. He was not the kind man I married. His smiles were rare, and his words were often cold. He started to make new rules for my life. These were his rules, and I understood that I had to follow them. One evening, he came home from work. My phone made a noise on the table. It was a message from my best friend, Sarah. Tony's face became dark and angry. "Who is that?" he asked in a hard voice. I told him it was Sarah. He said, "I don't want you to talk to her anymore. I don't like your friends. They say bad things about me. They put bad ideas in your head." I was shocked. My friends were important to me, but I looked at Tony's serious face and I felt a deep, cold fear. I did not want to argue with him. I was afraid of making him angry. What if he left me? The thought of losing him was my biggest fear. I loved him so much. I started to think that maybe he was right. Maybe my friends did not understand our love. I decided to listen to him. I believed that if I obeyed him, he would see my love and he would love me more. I thought this was a test, and I needed to be a good wife. I looked at him and said quietly, "Okay, Tony, if that is what you want." The next day was very difficult. Sarah called me 2 times. I saw her name on my phone and my heart hurt. I wanted to answer, but I could not. I remembered Tony's angry face. I did not answer her calls. Then she sent me messages. "Ava, are you okay? I am worried." I read her words and felt tears in my eyes. I felt so guilty, but I did not reply. Over the next few weeks, my other friends also tried to call. I ignored every call and every message. I felt completely alone, but I told myself it was for Tony. My life became very small. I stopped going out to cafes or the park. I only stayed home. My world was just the 4 walls of our house. I cleaned the house every day. I tried new recipes to make special dinners for Tony. My whole day was about waiting for him to come home. Sometimes he was happy with the food. Other times he ate in silence. My only purpose was to wait for him and to try to make him happy. I gave up my friends, my hobbies, and my old life. I gave up everything for Tony. I did not know that I was losing myself completely. 6. The words that broke me. It was 10 o'clock at night. I sat alone at the dinner table. I made Tony's favorite food, chicken with potatoes. The food was cold now. I waited for him for 3 hours. The house was very quiet. I only heard the sound of the clock on the wall. Every minute felt like an hour. I was worried, but I was also used to this feeling. I tried to keep the dinner warm in the oven, but I knew it was not the same. I just wanted him to come home. I hoped he was safe. Finally, I heard his key in the door. The sound was loud in the silent house. Tony walked in. He did not look at me. He threw his coat on a chair and his keys on the table. His face was dark with anger. I stood up and tried to smile. "Hello, Tony," I said softly. "I saved dinner for you. It's your favorite." He looked at the table and then at me. His eyes were cold. He did not say thank you. He did not say anything nice. He started to yell. His voice was loud and it filled the small room. "The house is a mess, and this food is cold," he shouted. I looked around. The house was clean. I cleaned it every day. I wanted to tell him that I waited for a long time, but I was too scared. His anger was like a storm. It came from nowhere, and it was very strong. I did not do anything wrong, but he was yelling at me. I just stood there and listened. I felt very small. Then he stopped yelling. He looked directly into my eyes. The room was silent for a moment. He said the words very slowly and clearly. "You are stupid, Ava, a stupid wife." The words hit me like a stone. I could not move. I could not speak. It felt like my heart stopped, and then it broke into a million pieces. He called me stupid. After everything I did for him, after all the love I gave him, this was his name for me. A stupid wife. Tears started to run down my face, but I made no sound. I turned and walked to our bedroom. I closed the door. I fell onto the floor and started to cry. I cried for a long time. I cried for the girl who met him in the cafe. I cried for the happy woman at the wedding. I cried until I could not breathe. My body hurt from crying. Tony never came to the room. He did not care that I was hurt. After many hours, the tears stopped. I felt empty and cold. The pain was still there, but something new was there too. It was a quiet, strong feeling. His words played again and again in my head. A stupid wife. In that moment, I knew the love I felt for him was gone. It was broken, just like my heart. Something inside me changed that night. It changed forever. 7, my last tear. The next morning, the sun came through the window. I woke up very early. The house was quiet. I looked at Tony. He was still sleeping in our bed. He looked peaceful, but his words from last night were loud in my head. "You are stupid." I did not feel sad anymore. I felt empty and cold. I went to the bathroom and turned on the light. I looked at my face in the mirror. I did not know the person I saw. Who was this woman? Her eyes were red and swollen from crying all night. She had dark circles under her eyes. She looked tired and thin. This was not the happy Ava who got married. That Ava had a bright smile and happy eyes. This woman in the mirror had no smile. She just had a deep sadness. I touched my face. It felt like the face of a stranger. I thought about my life before Tony. I had many friends. We laughed together. I had dreams. I wanted to travel. I wanted to learn new things. Now I had nothing. I stopped talking to my friends because Tony did not like them. I stayed home every day waiting for him. I gave him my love, my time, and my dreams. In return, he called me stupid. Suddenly, I understood everything very clearly. The problem was not me. I was not stupid. The problem was Tony. He did not love me. A person who loves you does not hurt you with words. A person who loves you does not take away your friends and your happiness. I cried all my tears last night. I decided I would not cry for him again. That was my last tear for Tony. Quietly, I went back to the bedroom. Tony did not move. I found my old suitcase under the bed. I opened it and started to pack my clothes. I only packed my own things. I did not take the dresses he bought for me. I did not take any of his gifts. I took my favorite books and a small photo of my friends. I put the photo in my bag. I wanted to see their smiles again. When my bag was ready, I found a pen and a piece of paper. I did not want to write a long letter. He would not understand. I wrote only a few words. I wrote, "I loved you more than myself, but I am not stupid anymore. Goodbye, Tony." I put the note on the small table next to his side of the bed. He would see it when he woke up. I took my bag and walked to the front door. I did not look back at the room. I did not look at our wedding photo on the wall. I opened the door, and the morning air felt fresh on my skin. I stepped outside and closed the door softly behind me. I did not look back. I just walked away. 8. My happy ending. Starting my life again was very hard. The first few weeks were difficult. I did not have a job or a place to live. I stayed with an old friend. She was one of the friends Tony did not want me to see. She opened her door and gave me a big hug. She did not ask many questions. She just gave me a safe place to be. At night, I felt sad. But I was not sad for Tony. I was sad for the person I lost. I was sad for the old, happy Ava. I knew this was my chance to find her again. Slowly, things started to get better. I found a job in a small bookshop. With my first money, I rented a small apartment. It was not a big house, but it was my home. I bought yellow flowers to make it feel happy. I started to see my old friends again. We went for coffee and we talked for hours. They were happy to see me smile. I was not a lonely wife anymore. I was Ava, a woman with friends and a job. The most important thing I learned was to love myself. For a long time, I put Tony first. I gave him everything and I had nothing for myself. Now, I understand that you must love yourself first. I started to do things that made me happy. I joined a yoga class. I wrote my thoughts in a book. I met new people. They were kind and they respected me. They listened to me. This was a new and good feeling. About 8 months later, I saw Tony. I was walking on the street after work. He called my name, Ava. He looked surprised. He came to me and said, "I was wrong. I miss you. Can we talk?" For a moment, my heart beat fast. I remembered the man I married. But then I remembered his cruel words. I looked at him and I did not feel love. I did not feel anger. I felt nothing. I took a deep breath. I did not cry or shout. I just gave him a small, calm smile. Then I turned around and walked away. I did not look back. That was my real power. I felt so free. Now I am strong and I am happy. My life is not perfect, but it is my life. I know that real love does not hurt. It should not make you feel small. My story with Tony is over. I am not the stupid wife anymore. I am the hero of my own story, and this is my happy ending.